Hey folks, my name is Mo and I'm the co-founder of Netflare. Netflare is an all-in-one DevOps platform that helps you monitor your digital infrastructure, and when things go wrong, we help you get it resolved. In this video, we're going to be demoing our integration with Azure. Before we get started, let's look at a high-level overview of how Netflare will monitor your Azure infrastructure. In Azure, every service that you use, such as VM, Function, or Cosmos, emit metrics that are stored in the monitor service. You can set up alerts on these metrics so that if they cross a threshold you specify, an alert will be triggered. We will configure the alerts to notify Netflare alarm system so that Netflare can take automated action. These actions can include creating a ticket to document the incident, sending a pager notification to inform the right person so that we can get their eyes on the issue as soon as possible, or initiating a runbook execution that will assist the technician in resolving the incident. As always, you can access our ticketing system through Slack so you can manage the incident directly there. Now let's jump back into Netflare and start by creating our Azure alarm. The way to do that is in the navbar, select alarms and then hit create a new alarm. From here, I'm going to be walked through a wizard that's going to help me set up the alarm for Azure. The first thing I get asked is the name of the alarm. I'm just going to call it Azure Alarm, and then I'm going to assign it to a team. From here, I'm going to be asked to what integration type are we going for. We do have multiple integrations, and in this demo, we're going to be using Azure. I'm going to be asked if I would like to set up with the default configuration. Just to simplify the demo, I'm going to select yes. And then from here, I've been given all of the settings that are automatically set up for me, so I don't need to do any further action and I can hit the save right away. But just to demo to you what will happen, we have two states that the alarm can be in. It could be either an alert or an OK. And by default, we've specified that when it goes into alert, what we would like to do is to create a ticket with this template. And then when the system goes into an OK state, we would like to close that ticket that was created when the system alerted. I always have the option to go back and edit these. So for now, I'm just going to hit save and we're going to create the alarm. The alarm is now created and I'm taken to the next page, which gives me instruction on how to set up the integration on the Azure side. There's two things that we need to do. The first thing that we need to do is to create the action group, which is the integration between Azure and Netflare using this endpoint right here. Once we have that set up, then we will need to create the alerts in Azure that will trigger as the metrics go beyond a certain threshold. And then what we will do is we will attach that alert to the action group so that as the state changes of that for that alert, then Netflare will automatically be notified and then we can start to take the automated action that we want to take. So let's go into Azure and start the process. The first thing that we're going to be creating in Azure is the action group. The way to do that is in the search bar, search for monitor, and this, from the service tab, select monitor. From here, select alerts, and then go to create, and then select action group. From here, you're going to have to go through the wizard on setting up the action group. The first thing that it asks is select the resource group, so select the resource group that you want, and then give it an action group name and a display name. So I'm going to call this Netflare Alarm for action group, and display name just be Netflare. Next up is I'm going to go into the action tab, and then in the action type, I'm going to select webhook. I'm going to get here, I need to enter the URL that the Netflare gave me. So I'm going to go back to Netflare, select this, copy it, and then paste it here. Make sure that the enable common alert schema is selected to yes, and hit OK. And then I'm requested to give the action a name, so I'm just going to call it Netflare webhook. And then I can go to view and create. These are all of the settings that I've given. I'm okay with those, so I'm just going to hit select create, and there we go. The action item has now been created. The second thing that we're going to be creating is the alert tool. The alert tool is where we monitor our existing metrics, and if they go above a certain threshold, then we want to be alerted so that we can start to take the automated action. The way to set that up is to go under the monitor again, under alerts, and then hit create, and then select alert tool. From here, we're going to be defining which metrics do we want to monitor. Obviously, that's going to be different for your use case, but for this demo, what I would like to monitor is that I have an function API, and I would like to monitor its response rate. So I'm going to select the Netflare test API, and hit accept, go to condition, and then from here, the Azure automatically emits a lot of different metrics. So just to take a look at a few, so we can see, for example, like HTTP 200, how many of these are we outputting, how many 400s, how many server error are we returning. But just to keep this demo simple, I'm going to select the request one. And that monitors the amount of requests that are coming for this API. I'm going to hit apply. And then from here, I'm going to have to define the threshold that will trigger the alarm. So just for this demo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the threshold is 5. So that if there are 5 requests within 1 minute, then I would like to be notified. Once again, you're going to set it up based on your needs, but for this demo, this is what I'm going to be setting it up. Next up is I'm going to go into action, and then I'm going to select the action group. This is the action group that we just created earlier, the Netflare alarm, and that's the one that we're going to be selecting. So I'm going to select it and then go into detail. The key things I'm going to have to do is to give it the alert tool name and the alert tool description. So in my case, I'm going to say the alert tool name is too many connections. And then for the description, I'm going to say too many connections, server might go down. This is when you get to set up the alert tool name. That gets to become the ticket title when it's being created. And the alert tool description is the description of the ticket. All right, now we can go into view and create, and then hit create. All right, so now the alarm has been created. The next thing we're going to be needing to do is to trigger the alarm. So what I'm going to be doing in the background is I'm going to make a few calls to that API endpoint, and then I'm going to let the alarm trigger, and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. In the background, I went and triggered the API, and I triggered it multiple times until the point where the alert ended up triggering. So over here we see that now that there is one alert, and the alert is the too many connection. Now what would have happened is that if we go back to Netflare now, and we take a look at the Azure alarm that we created, if I hit refresh, what we see here is under the children alarm, the system has automatically created a children alarm that connects to the Azure alarm. So this one is the too many connection. And if we go into this one, what we can see here is that when it got created, it went into alert state, and we can see here that the alarm was triggered, and these are the action that it took. So we can see that a ticket was created. So I can open up that ticket. I can see here that the all the information about the ticket. I can also manage the state of the ticket. I can also monitor the current state of the alarm. And also, because this was created as a priority one, it automatically triggered our pager workflow and sent out a pager notification to let the right engineers know about it so we can get their eyes on the issue as fast as possible. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop pinging the API endpoint. And what will happen is that as we stop pinging the API endpoint, that metric will go below the certain threshold. And so what will happen is that the alert will automatically close. And as it closes, this ticket will get closed. And we'll see that in a few seconds. So we'll come back when that happens, and I'll show you what that will look like. And now we're back, and what I've done in the meantime is I've given the alarm enough time for the metric for it to settle down and for the alarm to go back into an OK state. And so now what we see is that the alarm has went from alert into OK, and it resolved that ticket that we were looking at earlier. So if I go back to that ticket and I hit refresh, I can see that the ticket is now closed. This is going to wrap it up for the demo today. Just as a final note, what I would like to remind you is that our alarms are very flexible. You're able to set up actions and multiple actions that get taken as the alert changes state. You could set up the alarm so that it can create a ticket, close a ticket, leave a comment on the ticket, start a runbook execution, send out a notification, or make a webhook API call. From here, you're able to set up the configuration based on your needs, and then be able to set up an ideal DevOps so that when these incidents happen, you're able to tackle them as fast as possible. Thank you so much for watching this video.